Good morning. Good morning. There we go. All right, we got to let them folks across the street know we're here. All right. Greetings to all the union members from all of the unions in the Postal Service and the AFL-CIO Central Labor Council. We appreciate all of you being here, and friends, guests, and supporters. Okay? This is an important time for us right now. As the administration, as Homer talked about, is interested, and they've already put out testing in a report on privatizing the Postal Service. Okay? That affects every single one of us standing here, and every single American as well. Okay? Don't let it be misunderstood. Privatizing is not a good thing, and for a number of reasons. First off, it affects each and every one of us and our jobs to begin with. Secondly, it also affects the American public in general. That's right, you folks across the street, it affects you too. When you look at the deliveries, we provide universal service for this country. If you privatize, the very people that we just talked about are going to be affected. More so, those that are the have-nots or the middle class as opposed to the rich folks. You take away universal service, and you're going to have service only for those that can afford it. Those that are in urban areas, as they call them, or rural areas, or senior citizens that live out of the way, those are the folks that are going to be affected the most. And the reason being because there will be no need to give standard service at a standard rate as we do now for every American, regardless of what class you're in. Those deliveries are going to be made based upon price. Okay? If it costs more to deliver to areas that do not provide a lot of income, those are the folks that are going to suffer behind it. If you are a senior citizen and you have meds that need to be delivered in, say, some of these areas, you're the folks that's going to be paying the price for that. Those are some of the issues. Furthermore, veterans. I'm a veteran. Okay? All the veterans out there, raise your hand. Okay? Vast majority of these folks here are veterans. And what you need to understand too, that the Postal Service is the largest employer of veterans in this country. What kind of message is this country sending to our veterans when they come home from serving their country and they can't find a job to go to? Why are we going to go ahead and turn things around and reduce the number of opportunities for them to serve? As I said earlier, this is the largest employer of veterans in the country. If you privatize, you are sending the wrong message to veterans around this country. Yeah. The other issue about privatizing is that it will have a direct effect on the economy. We are, let's see, let me get this straight, 1.3 trillion we generate in economic revenue for this country, either directly through the Postal Service or the affiliate companies that work with the Postal Service. We also deliver 40% of this world's mail. How are you going to turn around and reduce services under that concept? That's crazy, okay? So we need to make sure that we are speaking out on behalf of ourselves and for the country, because privatizing will not get it done. I've got more days behind me than I do have in front of me. I got 19 years in the Postal Service, but I'm still here and I'm still fighting. And we have veterans that have been in longer than me that are still fighting. We have regular employees, whether you're a clerk, carrier, mail handler, truck driver, that have been around for a while, and they all serve this country honorably in this job. The only way we're going to be able to keep it is to speak out on behalf of maintaining universal service, okay? So understand, we don't need to privatize, we need to revitalize the Postal Service and utilize the tools that we have at hand to make that happen. We need to mobilize the Postal Service, not privatize, by speaking out to every single congressman, every single administration official we run across, and every member of the American public to make sure that they understand that universal service is the way to go. It was a right at the very beginning of the Constitution, and it is the same right today. Don't let that go away by some folks that have their own personal interest in privatizing and making a personal profit. That's not what this country is built on. So get out there, mobilize, speak to your folks, continue to speak. And November 6th, make your vote count on these issues. Everybody understand that? Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. And again, we have to continue this fight. And especially our young folks that are new to the service, you've got to push. You got to push. I know you get a lot of heat about millennials and a different viewpoint and a different way of thinking, but I think when it comes to just the basics of standing up for yourself, looking out for your job, protecting one another, those are things that come with unionism. And if you're in the union, okay, I believe that you're going to do those things because it's necessary. We speak as one voice. We've been doing this since 1889 as far as the NELC, and this company's been around longer. And I know the other union heads that are going to be speaking as well are going to say the same thing for their folks as well. So, get out there and be an example for the other millennials out there and show them how it's done. Speak out. And for our older folks, we need to continue to show the example to them, what we fought for to get to where we are today, okay? So, remember, we gotta fight, and that we gotta remember too, that the U.S. mail is not for sale. Thank you very much. One more time, U.S. mail is not for sale. U.S. mail is not for sale. U.S. mail is not for sale. Thank you.
These are serious times we're facing now. There are many people up in Washington that are trying to take our jobs away and trying to privatize this postal service. It's got to be up to us to go out and mobilize it. Like Tony said, let everybody know. Let all these people over here know. Let all your relatives know, your neighbors know. The people that you where your taqueria, where you get a 7-Eleven, let those people know. We need to let everybody know that this postal service belongs to the American people, not to the private corporations up in Washington, okay? So we need to go out and do our job. We need to get behind these politicians that are for the Postal Service, not those that want to privatize it. Some of them are Republicans, some of them are Democrats, but we need to get behind everyone that wants to stay and keep the Postal Service in the hands of the people. That's where it belongs, not up in Washington. It belongs to each and every one of us, and it belongs to each and every one of them. So we got to do our part and make sure we let them know, inform them. Not only here, not only now, but every day from here on out until the election. Let everybody know that they need to keep this Postal Service in the hands of the public, okay? Thank you, I appreciate that.
So why are we here? U.S. mail is not for sale. U.S. mail is not for sale. U.S. mail is not for sale.
U.S. mail is not for sale.
All right, guys, the next one we have President Kenneth Root from the Blue Route Medicare. Come on up here, brother.
Always got to move the microphone down. Greetings, brothers and sisters. What's our first name? U.S. United States Mail. That means service for every single individual in the United States. Take out the periods, you have us. Not just us standing here for our jobs. We're also customers in the United States Postal Service. For everybody out there, all of us deserve universal service. I'm a rural carrier, so I see it firsthand, the ones it's going to affect most. I have my elderly folks out there that we deliver to. They got out of the rat race, kind of got out into the sticks. Do we want to take away their VA medicine at a cost-effective price? Do we really want to put that up for other individuals to bid on and say we can do it better? They're already on fixed incomes as it is, and so we're going to sit here and throw this out so people can charge them an arm, a leg, and what other body parts they may have left. And as Tony said, largest single employer of veterans. We're a lot of veterans. We supply service to the veterans here in San Antonio. Military USA. We've got Audie Murphy sending out those medications. If you want those medications that are timely and at a cost-effective rate, who's going to do it? Not some private entity that can sit there and drive up a bidding war with somebody else. We're not even a profit, we just operate. We don't get any help from any entity other than ourselves. We are what makes it, the public is what makes it. We need to continue to fight with all your congressmen and women, inundate them with mail, inundate them with whatever you can. Too long we have sat back and continued to see this erode. The current administration wants to take away not only our jobs, but they want to take away our families' jobs. They want to take away the service we provide for our families. I'm not going to have them affect my family. I don't care who you are.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Too long we have sat here and tried to privatize. That is not the way. We are not for sale. We will not be for sale. The way we provide this service is because we are the United States Postal Service. We are not some little private entity sitting there driving up rates. Amazon's already figuring that out, trying to deliver their own parcels. We sit here and deliver all those parcels. We deliver FedEx's parcels. We deliver UPS parcels. We need to educate the American public that we sit here and deliver everything. And had they went through us to begin with, they wouldn't have had to pay as much as they're paying. They already see the cost effectiveness of us when you send something out, express mail. You send something out, USPS tracking. We have continued to grow in the electronic age, and we can provide the same and better service than any other entity out there. What is it, folks? U.S. mail?
Not for sale.
U.S. mail?
Not for sale.
U.S. mail?
Not for sale.
Brothers and sisters, keep fighting. Brothers and sisters out there in the courtyard, continue to fight. This affects every single one of us out here on these streets today. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is going to be a real good friend of labor, a real good friend of myself. She's a feisty woman, has always fought for labor, and has always fought for the United States Postal Service. And I ain't going to call her what I really want to call her because I'll get beat up by her, but her name is Linda Chavez Thompson. Come on up here, Linda.
We are the union and we're fighting back, aren't we? Yeah. You ready to fight? Yeah. Are you ready? I can't hear you. Ready. Are you ready to fight?
Ready. Yeah.
They still can't hear you.
Yeah.
Are you ready to fight?
Yeah.
They heard you that time. I've been around a while. I'm not going to tell you how long. Yeah, you can guess at it, but you ain't going. I'm not going to tell you. But here's the question that I have. For years and years, they try to tell us privatization is good. It is good for the people. It is good for the workers. It is good for everybody. That is a bunch of BS. I won't say the other word because I have my little 8-year-old great-granddaughter here, and I don't like her to hear me say that kind of language, okay? So I'm not going to embarrass her this morning. Let me tell you something. I started my labor career in 1968. That was almost 50 years ago in December. In all of those years, I have spent fighting back. What you're doing today is exactly what you need to do every single day is fight back. They keep telling us that this is good, that privatization will be good, and that is BS as well. They've tried to privatize garbage collection, and when they do, the prices double for the resident who gets the garbage picked up. They told us that closing Kelly was going to be good. Has it been good to San Antonio? No. Has it been good for the families that lost their jobs? No. No. what they tell us is that privatization is good. So my 50-cent letter, because I don't mail, I mail all my bills, okay? I'm still the old-fashioned kind, so that tells you how old I am. I still mail all my letters. If I don't, he's gonna get me. Because he's always mean and ugly to me. And but the point here, though, is they try to sell us that it's going to be good, and it is not, because privatization was not good for San Antonio with Kelly. Privatization of garbage collection was something that I had to fight every single day when I represented city employees here. What you're doing here today is okay, but what you have to do tomorrow and the next day and the day after that is very simple. You have to tell people the effects it'll have on how you get your mail, how you can communicate and do the things that you do without the price doubling, tripling in some cases, and what has been said here by my brothers and sisters, no service at all. You have to go get your mail instead of your mail coming to you. And that is a bunch of bullshit. Oh, I said it. They're not gonna let me babysit anymore, okay? But we have to stop this. You have to make yourself dedicated to stopping this. So all I can say to you, I'm with you solidly. Whatever you need me to do, I'm gonna be there for you, as I have been for almost 50 years. And when they're gonna shut me up is when I'm 6 feet under. Okay, thank you.
All right, our next speaker is going to be a retired letter carrier. He's also the District 20 Congressional Liaison for the Texas State Association of Letter Carriers. His name is Dan Torres.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for being here today. And you're standing in Congressional District 20. As Homer said, my name is Dan Torres. I'm a retired letter carrier. I'd like to thank Homer Hernandez. He's Vice President of Texas State Association of Letter Carriers, and Tony Boyd, President of the Alamo Branch 421 National Association of Letter Carriers, for organizing this event. I've spent 38 years as a union activist, and most of those, I've seen many threats to the Postal Service. And it began with Ronald Reagan in the 1980s when he tried to privatize the Postal Service. And it's continued to today when the administration we have in power is trying to do the same thing. The Postal Service and the letter carriers have been very lucky to have good friends in District 20, Congressional District 20. Henry B. Gonzalez, Charlie Gonzalez, and now Joaquin Castro. These champions have seen the value and need of an independent postal service that serves 157 million homes and businesses 6 days a week. The USPS is a major component of a $1.3 trillion mailing industry and maintains an affordable and universal network that connects America's rural, urban, and suburban communities. The Postal Service is a leading employer of our nation's veterans and has helped our countrymen and women achieve and maintain a middle-class lifestyle. The Postal Service is bound by contract to the policy of equal work for equal pay, and thereby protecting and respecting women, minorities, and people with disabilities. And even better, the Postal Service is not funded by taxpayers. It exists on the sale of stamps and other postal products. The only government agency to do that. The NALC is a nonpartisan union, and we support candidates from both sides. What happens to the Postal Service is determined by Congress. So we need support from all those legislators that see the importance of a viable, affordable, universal postal service. The current administration is attacking federal and postal employees and retirees at a time that the American people, 88% of whom say that give the USPS a favorable rating. That's the most popular in the federal government and the most trusted. Lost my place, sorry. Even with this tremendous public support, they have not stopped their cruel and unusual punishment by trying to privatize the Postal Service. They've proposed huge cuts to our retirement and our health benefits. This administration has frozen federal employee pay increases, issued anti-union executive orders, placed anti-union judges at the federal level and on the Supreme Court. They've also placed anti-union corporate lawyers on the National Labor Relations Board, which is something that every union needs to make sure we look at carefully. We need common sense leaders in Congress. Common sense leaders like Gina Ortiz-Jones, who's running in District 23, Joseph Kopser in District 21, and Beto O'Rourke in the United States Senate. They need to join Congressman Joaquin Castro and Congressman Lloyd Doggett to help us fight back, just like Linda said, to help us fight back, not only for the United States Postal Service, but for the United States of America. Remember this when you go vote on November 6th. And remember also, it's your Postal Service. You need to save it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. All right, our next speaker is Will Attic, Executive Director of Union's Veteran Council. Come on up here, brother. Thank you for coming out. Hello, everybody. You fired up? Yeah. Tell me, are you fired up for workers today? Yeah. My name's William Attic. I'm the Executive Director of the Union Veterans Council with the National AFL-CIO, and I'm proud to be here today. I just got off a plane, but there's no place I'd rather be than standing with great American patriots fighting for a middle class and a dream that we call America. And that's what you do every single day. For the last year and a half, I've worked in Washington, D.C. to try and stop an agenda aimed with crosshairs aimed straight at one of the largest groups of working class people in America, federal employees. From VA healthcare workers to the people that make sure the gears run at the Education Administration to the postal workers. There is an all-out assault against you that is being hidden behind really nasty words. The administration says they want to drain the swamp, right? They want to drain the swamp. But the only people they target are people like you all across this country. There's no swamps down here in San Antonio. There's no swamps in the post offices or the VA healthcare clinics. There's people willing to work. People willing to fight for the America that they believe in. When I was 18 years old, I joined the Army. I served multiple deployments in Iraq, and I came home to find out there was a larger fight on my hand than I'd ever seen. I came home to no job, no future, and really didn't really have a way to go. They didn't really prepare me to enter the world when I got done fighting overseas. I was lucky enough that I found a union job. And I came to find out that that's the same story of hundreds of thousands of veterans across the country, especially in the U.S. Postal Service. Raise your hand if you're a veteran again. Doesn't look like a swamp to me. That looks like a lot of patriots out there. Be proud of that. And you have to make sure you call out the people that are calling you out. If they're not standing with you, if they're not fighting with you every day to make sure that you have a chance at the American dream, vote them out. Remember on election day, no matter who they are, if they're on either side of the aisle and they're not supporting working class people, you shouldn't support them. The basic idea of America is being able to work together. You know, a man once said, I don't use his word at all, he said America was a shiny city on a hill. And the gates should be open for anybody who is willing to work for it. The problem with that guy was full of BS because he just said those words. That city exists, but only a few people have the keys to it. And I'm sick and tired of seeing people in Washington
try and cut the legs out of working class people all over this country, from rural America to urban America, by passing these horrible pieces of legislation attacking workers. Stand strong, make sure you make the phone calls, make sure you support people who are willing to fight for you. Because if they're not willing to fight for working class people, and they only want to put CEOs and businesses on top of the list, that's not right, and that's not America. And that's not the America I would have fought for, and most of the folks out here would have fought for. So I'm proud to be here. Stand strong. Don't privatize the Postal Service. Keep it straight. It is not for sale, folks. It is not for sale. Have a wonderful day.
What did he say? Right over here? U.S. mail is not for sale. 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 All right, before I introduce the next candidate, or the next speaker, I want to say something about this year's candidates that are running for offices. There's a lot of women running for office. I'm with Women Power. So this next lady that I'm going to introduce you to, I've gotten the pleasure of meeting her, and I'm going to support her 100%. And if you get a phone call from her campaign, you know who to vote for, because she's going to vote for our issues. And she's going to come out here. She's going to come out here and let you know who doesn't vote for us and who does vote for us. So at this time, I want to introduce to y'all guys for District 23, Gina Ortiz-Jones.
Thank you, Homer. Congratulations, and congratulations to you all on this wonderful, wonderful event. You know, we have to let people know that U.S. mail is not for sale. The middle class is not for sale. Working families are not for sale. And you have a choice in this election. I'm running for Texas's 23rd congressional district. It's from San Antonio all the way to El Paso. And literally, as I was walking up here, a gentleman stopped me in the parking lot, and he said, "Hey, are you Gina?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "I'm from Fabens." Fabens is a small town in Mission Valley in El Paso, right outside El Paso. It's one of the communities that would be exactly hurt by the privatization of U.S. mail, right? Sometimes we don't think enough about the communities that this hurts. Right? We've got folks in Congress now, and administration that is focused on the bottom dollar, right? But that's not the kind of country we are. We are a country that leads with our values. We do that in our laws. We do that in our policies. Those are all about protecting the American dream, investing in the next generation of Americans, and that all starts with protecting working families. I've worked in national security for 14 years. I graduated from John Jay High School. I'm an Air Force veteran, I'm an Iraq War veteran, and I know that if you don't have a strong middle class, you will not have true national security. It starts with that. It starts with people having a chance to better themselves, better their families, their kids having the opportunities, again, to work and have a dignified life, and that requires investing in them. So when I think of, you know, the privatization of USPS, who does that hurt? That hurts small and medium-sized businesses, right? The types of businesses that rely on affordable, universally priced services. I also think about the $1.3 trillion national mailing industry that employs 7 million Americans. 7 million Americans rely on the good work that you all do every single day. And the communities like Fabens, San Eli, Presidio, you know, San Antonio, communities that rely, and older communities as well, that rely on these services to make sure they get their prescription drugs on time, to make sure they get their weekly newsletter, to make sure that they're not left behind. You all make that happen. I look forward to standing with you in Congress, because I stand with working families, I stand with the middle class, and you know, you all are going to be key to what is happening in just a couple of weeks, right? When we think about our mail, the importance of mail-in ballots, right? You all make that happen. You and I know that there are corporations that are more interested in hearing from you at the cash register than they are at the ballot box. And if those people have their say and privatize mail, you and I should be very concerned about who they will want to hear from at their post office. So frankly, I actually think we need to move in a different direction. I think we need to look at expanding the services that we provide at the post office, right? These are all throughout. Our post officers serve some of the most banking underserved communities, right? We should have a post office where you can go cash a check. You should have at your post office be able to go pay a bill. At your post office, you should be able to go apply and get a small loan, right? It's these types of things that we have the infrastructure already in our postal system, and we have people imaginative enough, but also with the moral courage to understand if we leave people behind, we're leaving ourselves behind as a country. So I'm running for Texas's 23rd Congressional District. I showed up. I hope you will support me. Tell your friends. Make sure, look, we've got a choice at the ballot in November. And it's not just Gina Ortiz-Jones on the ballot. It's your health care that's on the ballot. It's also the future of USPS. So thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
I told you women are pretty tough, but she's also very nice. She didn't tell you that Will Hurt has never voted for any of our issues.
Hello.
Has never signed up in any as co-sponsored any of our bills. So that's why I'm helping Gina Ortiz-Jones to win District 23, and I hope all of us get together and we do the same. Now our next speaker, that guy is one of a kind. He's been everywhere in the world. I think that's all I can. It's Dan's Torres speaker, it ain't that big. He's been all over the world. He has always worked for the working people. He's always supported labor. He's always supported letter carriers. Good friend of mine, good friend of ours. I would like to introduce you to you right now as State Senator for District 26, Joe Menendez.
Hey, you know what? Let's give Gina another round of applause. She did a great job. And more than cheering her on and more than giving her a round of applause, we need to get her our votes. Yeah. She needs to make sure that when she shows up for us, we show up for her. Yeah. You know, she's been all over this state and she's working hard. And you know, she came back from Washington to her community because she saw a problem and that needed to be fixed, and she's addressing it. And so that's why we need to stand for those folks who are there, just like you stand there for us. Let me tell you folks, I was on city council in 1997 when they tried to privatize the garbage. Linda, you remember when they were trying to privatize the garbage? And what did we say? We said, hell no, we can do it better. Our men and women, our AFG, our workers who are organized, union men and women, they competed with private sector, did they not? And they won. We don't need this. I just went to Victoria, Texas the other day, and I'm driving down through all these little towns. In some towns, the only thing that was still standing there was the post office. What are we going to be doing when those folks, those senior citizens that live there, don't have? You think FedEx is going to open an office there? Hell no! You think UPS is going to have an office there? Hell no! Who's going to be there? Men and women, letter carriers. One of the things we were talking about, the U.S. Postal Service is one of the most diverse workplaces I've ever been into. You walk in and you see someone that looks like anybody in town. You see veterans, you see people of all walks of life. And the other thing is, the U.S. Postal Service is more than just a job. Who can remember the old saying about rain, sleet? What's that? Tell me, someone, tell me. Neither rain, nor sleet, nor snow.
No storm.
All right. Hey, let me tell you, I have seen letter carriers carrying in 100-degree weather. I've seen them out there when it's hailing and raining. And I'll tell you what, I know my postal carrier. He's a good man. And you know what? He does his job because he loves it. It's more than just a job. I don't trust that the private sector will always be there for our senior citizens when we need them. So I will always be here for the men and women
of the letter carriers. I will always be here for my brothers and sisters in labor. We need to stick together. Well, let me tell you folks, you know when we're going to send the biggest message? At the ballot box. That's where, if they see us there, if they see us show up in November, then they will respect us. We can send a great message by getting people like Gina, like Beto, like Joaquin, like so many of our friends of labor, re-elected and elected. We send the message in November, they will then respect us. Privatization does not work. Look at our jails. You think it's okay to have little children separated from their families? Hell no! Hell no! So that's why, folks, we got to do more than just rallies. We got to show up and vote. We got to be there for each other. We got to get out and work. And it's good to see that the teachers are here supporting the letter carriers. It's always good. We have to be here for each other all the time. I'm proud of you. I'm with you. But it's got to be more than just speeches. And I love the idea that Gina said. Let's ask for more work, because you do good work. You not only do you deliver, you can get your passport there, you can get your stamps, you can get all sorts of stuff. Why not in every single one of these post offices be able to cash a check, get a small loan, do something more than just pay your bills? Why does it just have to be the private sector? And so I think, you know, we can tell them we don't need to sell us. What you need to do is give us more work. We can do the job because you are organized, you love your job, and you're there for our nation just like we need to be there for you. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm out of the teachers union, and we're going through a form of privatization right now. Don't let them do it to you. They're using charter schools and all sorts of other little tricks of the trade. And the charter schools are there to make money for corporations, and they don't serve the students. Now we're fighting to stop that. When I go into post office to drop off some mail, I usually see a long line of people. And that's because they've cut you back. They don't give you as many postal workers as you need. They're hoping to make the service poor. They'll close some postal stations. Now, there is only one way to fight back. Well, there's two ways. You can take the streets, or you can vote. And how many of your members voted for the wrong people 2 years ago? Let's not make that mistake again this year. Let's vote. Let's vote for Gina Ortiz Jones. Yeah. Let's vote for Joseph Topser, and let's vote for Beto. Thank you.
All right, everybody, I'm going to give you a little time to walk around and spread the word that we're out here to demonstrate that Donald Trump and his administration not to privatize the U.S. mail. So we're going to kill a little bit of time until Costa comes in. He's on his way, so just mingle around, put your signs up, and let the people around you know that we are here to challenge Donald Trump and his administration on the U.S. Ready for this moment?
Yeah. All right, everybody, thank you very much. Again, I'm Dan Torres, and I am Congressional Liaison for the Texas State Association of Letter Carriers in Congressional District 20. I'm very proud to present the congressman who represents District 20 right where you're standing, Mr. Joaquin Castro.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I want to say first, thank you for being here to all of the postal workers, to the letter carriers. Thank you on behalf of a grateful nation for all of your hard work. For over 200 years, the Postal Service has delivered the mail to the American people, and you have my commitment that we'll make sure that that doesn't change in the coming years. We should not privatize the U.S. Postal Service and sell it to the highest bidder who's going to deliver shoddy service, who's not going to deliver door to door in the same way, who's not going to deliver 6 days a week. The American people like the U.S. Postal Service and things should stay the way they are. That's right, and it should also be said that over the years, the U.S. Postal Service has been one of the biggest employers of our veterans who have served this nation very honorably, and we want to make sure that we preserve that. I know that recently President Trump sent over a proposal to privatize the Postal Service, and 219 members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, have passed a resolution, supported a resolution, saying that the U.S. Postal Service should remain a government function and shouldn't be privatized just to be privatized. So I just wanted to come out today and lend my support and say thank you for all of your hard work, and know that we'll be watching this when we get back to Washington, D.C. Thank you. Thank you.